Hi guys, and welcome to my review for three IMs which are made by Xinhs or made for Xinhs. Xinhs is in essence a cable manufacturer, and they've outsourced these IMs. They have had a few other IMs in the past, but the one that was perhaps the best well known was an IM with that which initially appeared as being the Acros collaboration with, well, my own collaboration with him, which was a 1+2, which is this IM here basically on the left hand side. And then subsequently they decided, they also started having their own branded version of it, which is this one here. And it's the same IM. The difference is the faceplate, and that's it. I mean, I've tested one and the other extensively, and the tuning is the same and everything. Anyway, this was, and for me at least, it is the most successful up to today in terms of the IMs that they've made. They've now added a few more to that equation. They've added the HS05, which I don't have, or rather I do have, but I didn't include it in this comparison because that's a single DD, which is very basically the same thing like a IVipQ 100, that kind of vibe. But they now have here the HS06, which is a 3+1, so 2+1, 3+1, and they also have here the HS01, which is a 1+4. So in terms of their naming scheme, not exactly very let's say successful. I mean, HS03, yeah, okay, makes sense. 1+2, 3 drivers over here. This, I mean, I don't know, I would have called it the HS04, 1+3, 4 drivers. This here, the HS05, yes. And then the single DD, I probably would have given it, I don't know, HS0, and that's it. Maybe that naming would have been a little bit more adequate. But anyway, that's really not the main point here. The IEMs, especially these two here, they come in a very basic, simple package. I mean, nothing special. The case and sorry, this is actually an IVipQ case, but the case is exactly the same. They bring the tips, some foams, some silicones. I mean, very, very basic in terms of their accessories. Their price also reflects that to a certain extent. I mean, currently you can get the HS06, the 1+3. You can get this for around $75. Usually the price is a little bit higher. The HS01, the 1+4, you can get it for about $85. And the HS03, you can get it for about just over $100. What have I selected here for a look? It's not really a comparison, or it's just for you guys to kind of get an overall sense of where these are positioned. I've selected the Rhapsody, the CCA Rhapsody, because I do believe that for the price, for the $50 that it costs, this is a really good hybrid, 2+4. I've got here the Ziget, the Chino, which costs around the $100 price bracket, 1+4, and I've got here as well the Jade Audio Fio JH5, which is again another 1+4, priced at about as well $90 odd. So these three are basically the same price. This is a little bit cheaper, and then this again, well, this is the cheapest. And the 1+2 actually is priced more or less the same value as the 1+4. Funny enough, maybe it's down to the fact that it's got tuning switches. Maybe, who knows, the actual drivers themselves are better. I know that this particular earphone used an 8mm driver. It used a 29689 and it used a 33518 for the highs. These ones, I'm not aware what exactly is being used in terms of the BAs. I know that the dynamic driver is a 10mm, and that's just about it. As for the sound, well, they all have very distinct sounds. This is probably the most I would say neutral. It's got a nice little amount of bass. It's very neutral, very unoffensive. Some people, when they heard it, they even said that it was a little bit closed down. The graph, that's one thing that in any one of these IMs, the graphs don't really reflect what you actually then end up hearing. The graph here of the HS03 shows some peaks which, when you're actually listening to it, they're not audible at all. And that's it. I mean, it's a very nice sounding IM. I honestly cannot critique it, especially when I consider that when it came out roughly 2 years ago, there wasn't really anything else at that price point that was, let's say, doing a better job ultimately. And the truth is, for a OnePlus 2, it holds its own very well with these IEMs here. The HS06, it's got a nice bass execution, very similar to its bigger brother, the OnePlus 4. The thing here that's a little bit, I didn't understand it, and graphically you see it and then you actually hear it, is that it's got a very early pinna gain. And it's a pinna gain which peaks very early as well. So it's just over 1K. It's already peaked, and so it makes things sound a little bit too overly forward, in my opinion. The HS01, the OnePlus 4, has got again a more traditional style of tuning with a more gradual pinna gain, and then it only has these peaks at above 7K, more or less in the 6 to 8K. It's got these peaks which you can, some of it are related to couple of related peak, and but there is a little bit of a, let's say, of an unnecessary amount of energy. However, the way that the whole IEM comes together in its sound actually blends quite nicely and never becomes offensive. It's actually interesting because the type of tuning that has been used here is, again, very much a type of tuning that you find in the Chino and you find in the JH5. The Chino is probably the flattest of them all, the most neutral of them all in the way that the mids, the upper mids and treble is done. By contrast, that has basically got the same tuning but way more energetic at specific areas there, which I'll show you then afterwards in the graph. And this kind of has the same vibe, but it's the better execution, I would say. This is the one that's the most correct, in my opinion, to listen to. Okay. As for the Rhapsody, enough has been said about the Rhapsody. The fact that it's got the tuning switches, and those tuning switches actually do work and allow for quite a high degree of versatility in the way that you can tune it, makes it a very solid choice. I mean, there's truthfully very little that you can falter. Fair enough, it's got its little quirks and things, but for the $50 that it's being asked, the fact is that it's got a very nice sound. That's it. It's that simple. It's got a very nice solid sound. But going back here to the HS06, the issue here with it, at least for me, was that forwardness made for a sound that can become just a little bit over fatiguing after a while, especially if you want to start, pushing the volume. It becomes a little bit fatiguing, and ultimately, of these three offerings from IVipQ, from XI and HS, my apologies, when I consider these three offerings, I would say that this one is the one that comes in third place, because that balance wasn't struck in what I would at least consider myself the most ideal manner. As for the OnePlus 4, again, very nice bass, actually very similar to the OnePlus 2 in that department, although this is using a 10mm and that's using an 8, but very nicely executed bass. It's clean, it's detailed, it's got the right amount of weight, blends nicely into the mids. Male and female vocals are fine. There's no real issues there. If there is any point or anything that I can maybe bring attention to, is that if this one is too forward on certain occasions, especially with female vocals, this one sometimes is just a little bit too laid back. There's occasions where I would have liked a little bit more energy, in those upper mids and that treble. But look, it's not offensive. It's not that it's a deal breaker by any way. So this is me just nitpicking now. Okay, technically, I would say these two are very equal technically. Perhaps I would give the overall imaging to the OnePlus 4. I would say soundstage is about the same, detailed retrieval about the same as well, timbre and tonality. Personally, I prefer it on the OnePlus 2. And that's it. I mean, they are very equal in terms of their technical capabilities. Honestly, there's very little that I can really point out. As for the OnePlus 3, the OnePlus 3 is noticeably the least capable, and I think it's not the difference is huge, but it's the least capable just because of that forwardness in the mids from that point of the mids into the upper mids. It's just overly forward. It just makes things sound a little bit unnatural, and ultimately, and after a while, and especially if you cranking the volume, it can get a little bit fatiguing. In terms of the sources, I used the Q-Styling 15, RU7, the Yuki. I used the new TP50. I used as well the CDA, the M2. I used the Afull, and I found that any one of these three benefit more or was more equally or more better matched with something that had a Cirrus Logic chip. So Yuki, Afull, the TP50, the CDA M2, those decks married better with these IEMs. The M15 compounded a little bit more that excessive forwardness here of the OnePlus 3, so I didn't like that. It wasn't bad on the OnePlus 2, I must say. It wasn't bad, and it actually benefited as well the Chino in that aspect, because the Chino is a little bit more chilled out. But ultimately, still the Yuki or the CDA or the TP50 or the Snowy Night from Afull, those were the best matches definitely for any one of the IEMs, to be truthful. As then a point of comparison here, or trying to see where these position themselves. Well, I'll be very honest. This, as I just mentioned, is the weakest link out of these three, and being the weakest link, it struggles to justify itself when you have a Rhapsody. It can still trade some blows to a certain extent with the Jade, but compared to the Chino, although the difference in style of sound is very different, I think I would personally still go for the Chino, although the Chino is not my preference or my ideal choice. I would prefer that to the OnePlus 3. As compared to the OnePlus 2, and this honestly has nothing to do with the fact that it had my intervention to a certain extent, the OnePlus 2 still, in my opinion, to this day, is a very, very capable sounding IM. It might not have the bass that you get maybe on some of these others, especially in terms of overall let's say volume, but it's got more than enough volume in terms of what it can put out, and the quality above all, considering it's an 8mm, is absolutely faultless. I really enjoyed the OnePlus 2, and still today I listen to it quite often, because I really think it is a very nicely put together OnePlus 2. They really, whoever made this IM for XI and HS, did their work, and it really is a very nicely tuned IM. I mean, so much so that you can see, just so that there's no doubt, I've got a few more here, so I really do like it. It's not that, oh no, no, I like it. You can see, yeah, okay. So I would say that the OnePlus 2, for me personally, outdoes the Chino. It outdoes the JH as well, because it doesn't have that harshness that the JH can start having once the volume gets a little bit more cranked up. Compared to the Rhapsody, this is a difficult one, because the Rhapsody offers a lot more versatility in its tuning because of the switches. So by offering a lot more versatility, it makes it be more wide in the kind of music that it can play more adequately, and that is where the Rhapsody ultimately beats the OnePlus 2, and obviously, of course, it's got that price point of $50, which is it's a really hard to beat price, let's put it that way, coupled to the very well built IEMs, also nicely built and so on. In terms of pure sound, on the setting that I have it here, which is both switches off, and the setting that I have it on the Rhapsody, the one that's the most fun to listen to, I won't deny, is the Rhapsody, definitely. The one that has just maybe a smidge more detailed retrieval is the Rhapsody. But overall, the tonality of the OnePlus 2 is still the one that comes out on top, for me at least. Okay, and for my music, this is the one that still comes out on top. The male vocals, I still prefer them more here as well. Female vocals, I would say it's about the same thing. This is not an easy one here, and honestly, sonically, and maybe there's a little bit of a bias there, I won't deny it, but sonically, I still feel that this is capable of just outdoing ever so slightly the Rhapsody. Because it really, honestly, it was really nicely put together. That's the reality. As for the OnePlus 4, this was actually a pleasant surprise. If initially I was kind of a little bit, not disappointed or skeptical, but I was kind of, I wasn't really kept getting the vibe of the IM. Once I started playing around with the tips a little bit, and although I'm not a die-hard believer of burning, once it played for a few more hours and it kind of loosened up, the OnePlus 4 really started showing its capabilities. I would say that the OnePlus 4 has got a lot of what well, definitely better than the OnePlus 3. It's got a lot of what the OnePlus 2 offers, but it offers more in terms of just a little bit more air, a little bit more fun and engagement. So while this will probably be best suited for something like jazz and more relaxed presentation or more relaxed music, that one they can already handle some more complex, some more hardcore, let's put it that way, music genres and do it well. Compared to the other ones on top, compared to the JH5, it's a better IM, in my opinion. That's it. Compared to the Chino, again a better IM. It's an overall better IM. And compared to the Rhapsody, the basically what happens here with the Rhapsody is, again, the fact that the Rhapsody has the crazy value that it has and the versatility of the tuning switches makes it perhaps be a wiser choice for a person that likes to play around and maybe still is in the discovering process of what sort of sound he likes. That's what the Rhapsody brings to the table. While someone that chooses the OnePlus 2 or the OnePlus 4 is already someone that maybe has already got a little bit more of a mature ear and already knows the style of sound that they like. Again, if I compare it with the setting that I have here and I compare it straight away with this, there are similarities on occasions, but overall this is just a little bit more smooth, more elegant in its presentation than the Rhapsody. The Rhapsody is excellent. It does basically everything very well. It scales well, but there are points where it just loses slightly its composure, especially with some female vocals, while the OnePlus 4, the HS01 maintain that composure longer. I would say that it has kind of a, if I'm going to be fair, it's got a vibe of the Chino, in the sense that it's relaxed and smooth but more detailed, while the Chino is perhaps just overly pulled back because of that very relaxed pin again. This one, no, it's got a little bit more forwardness in the vocals. Female vocals come across more present, more realistic, and certain instruments, guitars especially, also come out a little bit more true and engaging on the HS01. I didn't obviously compare it to more expensive IEMs. I could have had the SimGot, the EM6L here, and if need be, I can do that comparison. And I also could have had, or I could have done a comparison with the Pula PA02 or the CK LVX, the SL41 and the D41, which are all the rage. But I thought those are already on a significantly different price bracket. Well, the SIM dot is basically the same price, so let's not confuse things. Let's not get things too mixed up. Otherwise, it's just going to be a mess, and we're not going to have any separation between the different price brackets. The reality is this: IVipQ. Here I go again with IVipQ. My apologies. Xinhs is doing a really good job when it comes to they're going to launch an IEM. They take their time, and when they launch it, they are doing a good job because they are launching solid IEMs. My only real criticism with regards to these three is that I think the OnePlus 3 maybe would have still needed a little bit extra tweaking to make it stand out, really stand out. And to be honest, I would have liked to have seen as well switches both on the OnePlus 3 and the OnePlus 4, just like that on the OnePlus 2. Since they started it with the OnePlus 2, the addition of switches, I think would have been nice. And okay, I can understand that increases the cost a little bit more and so on, but you can always do like we are doing now, spring sale, and wait for prices to come down, and then buy the IEM if that's the IEM that suits you. In the normal prices that they usually are practiced at, of course it becomes a little bit more complicated because straight away you have a number of other IEMs which are equally, if not even more competent. But hey, this is HiFi, this is the way it is. So there's not really a lot that can be done. That's it, guys. I'll show you now the graphs and we'll wrap it up. Hi guys, and welcome now to the graph section here for this Xinhs earphone bonanza, let's put it that way. So let me just take away all of these first. Okay, first one I'm going to show you is the OnePlus 2, the HS03. And I think it's the graph is self-explanatory. I mean, it's an 8mm driver, so the base is not as crazy as what you might maybe think from the graph. I mean, we're talking about 78 to 88, so we're talking about 10 dBs of gain to the base. But then on the other hand, in terms of pin gain, we're talking 7 dBs of pin gain. So it's way more neutral in terms of the bass than what you would think. Really nice. It's got this dip here at 5 kilohertz, so there's no real sibilance, no nothing. You would think as well that this peak here of 8, you would notice it. You don't really notice it. If anything is plausible to give a criticism, is that sometimes the HS03 comes across a little bit more darker or warmer sounding than what the graph would lead you to believe. So I guess you could say it's the one that's got the most organic type of sound. It's very old school in terms of its sound, and I from day one always thought it was a really well executed IM, and well, it's yeah. The OnePlus 3 is the graph that I just shown you, and it's not so much the bass that's the problem. Let me just take away or just maybe change the color. Let me make the color, no, I'll leave it, where is it? Let's just make this black so it kind of stands out a little bit more. It's not really the bass the issue. I mean, it's basically flat by 300 hertz, so it's not really the issue. The problem is this unusual way of doing the pin gain, which is very abrupt. It's kind of like the pin gain that you find in stuff like the LITZ and so on and so forth. But this is just it's too early. It pushes things too forward, and then there's an overall excessive amount of upper mids and treble, and excessive in the way that it's not that they at lower volumes are not nicely detailed and welcomed. They are, but they just lack a little bit of polish, and it just comes while if you look at the HS03, the OnePlus 2, the balance seems nicely obtained from one side to the other, from the opposite ends of the spectrum. With the OnePlus 3, the balance is way too much on the vocals, and maybe I guess if you're a person that likes vocals, you'll find this IM more interesting or more towards your liking. I personally found it to be just a little bit too much for what I personally like. the next one I'm going to show you now is the OnePlus 4. I've normalized everything at 500 Hz, and the OnePlus 4, as you can see again, let me actually take away the OnePlus 3. The OnePlus 4 again, it's not really the bass that's the problem. It's basically flat by 300. It's then just these peaks here that it has at 6 and 7K. You don't really notice them, but on the other hand, well, I think what they've been able to do is strike a nice balance again between how the bass is done and how the mids and upper mids and treble are done. So we're talking about a pin again that is 9 dBs. So yes, you could consider this to be a kind of a V-shaped tuning, although when I listen to it, I don't feel it that way. I actually feel that the bass to start with is a lot more relaxed than what the Graph shows. The bass is more, I would say the bass is more equal to the bass of the OnePlus 2, although it's using a bigger driver. And like I said, I don't notice these peaks, and it's got some nice extension, and it's this extension, this area that you do notice it. However, for some reason, which again I cannot really understand, the difference that you find in air, in soundstage between the OnePlus 4 and the OnePlus 2 is very minimal, and they depends on the song. So it's not something which is kind of, oh no, it's the OnePlus 2 is always better, the OnePlus 4. No, it's something that straight blows. That's why I said in terms of their technical capabilities, they are trading blows very equally between each other. Okay. Then just quickly showing then the other IMs that I selected, and let's keep now here just the OnePlus 4 for the rest of this, because the other ones I'm going to be showing you now are also OnePlus 4s. Compared to the Zigat, the Chino, let me make the Chino here in a different color. There we go. The Chino, as you can see, is way more relaxed and smoother. They have some similarities in the way that things are done here to a certain extent in terms of the upper mids, and it's just this early part here of the transition from the mids into the upper mids. So this 1 to 3K area is just way too relaxed, and it just closes down a little bit too much, I think, the female vocals. That's the biggest thing I think with the Chino. As for the JH05. The JH05, as you can see again, it has a very similar tuning to the Chino, very similar tuning bass. It's just that area there is a little bit more energetic of the upper mids and the treble, and what that translates to is a sound which is again at lower volumes more energetic, a little bit more live. You don't feel as much that this part here of the mids into upper mids is missing, so you don't feel that the female vocals are maybe as relaxed or as recessed as they are on the Chino, which definitely is more recessed. And it just sounds a little bit harsher. Okay, it just sounds not as polished. And when with the excuse me, with the OnePlus 4, the HS01 from Xinhs, it's again a thing of an issue of balance. As you can see, there's a lot of similarities here as well in the way that this, let's say, past 5K area is done. Excuse me. There's quite a good similarity here. I wouldn't be surprised if they were tuned more or less in the same way in the BAs, just different energy levels. And then finally, the Rhapsody. The Rhapsody is the one that has the most different tuning out of all of them, definitely. Excuse me. And compared to the Xinhs, what you notice is not so much yes, you do notice it's got a little bit more bass, that's true, but it's not really here that you notice the big difference. Where you notice the difference is the Rhapsody is very energetic, so very nice to and very engaging to listen to at lower volumes. It's got a little bit more life than what the Xinhs has. The Xinhs will need a little bit more of power, but then the excuse me, the Xinhs does scale better. The Xinhs does maintain its composure better when you start cranking the volume, and things actually, it seems like the IM opens up and its sound improves overall. While the CCA, it's not that the sound doesn't doesn't improve or goes bad, or it just becomes a sound which is a little bit more edgy, so a little bit more closer to the limits. But this is, people, this is me, and trust me, I like listening loud, and this is me really pushing it. I'm sure that the majority of you will not have this problem, and what I said earlier, I think the Rhapsody will probably be the IM that will be the most suited for those which are still discovering themselves. If you already know the style of sound that you like, then fine. The Xinhs, be it the 1+4, the 1+2, will be solid choices without question, especially now that you can get the 1+4 at the competitive price that it's being offered. I would definitely say yes, it's worthwhile giving it a try. But the Rhapsody has got that trick up its sleeve, which is the fact that tuning allows for quite a big amount of versatility in terms of the sound, and you can kind of play around and find out if you like more the bass this way or more the bass that way, and how it then matches with the mids and so on and so forth. But on its own, and as I listen to, with the settings that I usually listen to, they both sound amazing. They both sound really, really good. Anyway, guys, that's basically it. Like I said, if you guys want me to compare it with anything else a little bit more expensive, I'll gladly do it. But I think Xinhs definitely has done well. Solid IM. And if a suggestion is possible from my side, I think that the tuning switches would definitely have helped, even if that will increase the price ever so slightly. And then, like I said, the packaging is very basic, very simple. Slightly improved packaging again would be something that is welcome. It's not just the case with the tips and the cable. Although, hey, you know what? If the cable that it comes with is good and the earphone is good, who cares if it doesn't have a fancy box? You don't listen to the box, do you? Guys, as always, like and subscribe. Any questions, you already know. Please ask me. Take care now. Bye-bye.